things can only get better, and we're about to demonstrate and talk you through how things are going to get better as we share the strategy to 2020 with you. The really key thing about today, though, is to give you a really good understanding about what it is we're trying to do. And as I said at the start, this plan won't work if you don't understand your role in it and how you can help. So that's the single purpose of today, to make sure you're really clear about what it is we're trying to do, and whether you're in one of the businesses or whether you're in support, everybody has a role to play, and hopefully you'll see that as we run through the presentation.
Our share price trades at around 25 pence a share on average. Ticks up slightly now and again, but generally it's 25 pence a share. That values our business at around £8 million. If we look at the last annual report, the asset value within the business is £27 million. So we know for sure, based on here and now, that the share price is undervaluing the business. And that's quite an important point, particularly for our shareholders. So how do we move that valuation up to where it should be? Well, the really key thing for our business is to drive shareholder value by growing sustainable profits moving forward. And I'll talk a little bit more about profit later. And if we can do that, we will generate more interest in our shares, more of a market in our shares, and that in turn will push that share price up and will value the business appropriately. And the 27 million is the value here today. If we can drive growth, that value increases, so that share price would reflect the prospective value as well. The last piece in that jigsaw really is to have our shares operating in a market where people more freely trade, so sell and buy our shares. And our best view of that at the moment is a market called AIM. So we're on a market called Asset Match at the moment, which enables our shares to trade more freely in the future. And that again will help drive that share value up. So that underpins why we need to make change, why we need to grow and develop the business. So how do we drive growth? Well, we always have to start with the customer. And if we look at the customer in general today, it's fair to say that they have changed very considerably, and particularly over more recent years. So they're very price aware, and it doesn't matter which market you look at, whether it's retail, LPG, or indeed T&A. Consumers want the best possible price that they can get. Customers have a lot of choice these days, so there's a lot of competition out there, and that's really been helped by the development of multi-channel. So that's allowed a lot more competitors to come into markets and offer really competitive prices and a really great service. But as a business, we have a really strong heritage. We've retained our values and principles through that time, and we have a customer base actually that trusts us, and we offer great service to those customers, and that's a really strong foundation from which we can grow the business moving forward.
Back in January 2015, I think we surveyed something like 40 or 50,000 customers, and the results of those survey have really formed some of our strategic thinking, because at the end of the day, if this is what I'm about to show you is what our customers think, I'm going to keep it at a very high level. But if we don't respond to that, then we're not going to deliver the strategy and achieve the vision that we set ourselves. So these are no particular order, but this is what our customers, this is what they want, not what we think, what they want. They want quality products at competitive prices. So they don't want us to sell cheap products that don't work, and they don't expect us to be the cheapest, but they do expect us to be competitive for those products. They want the right product ranges, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on. In some areas we've got this right, and in some areas we obviously haven't got it right, because that's what our customers are telling us. There's an interesting subject at the moment, availability. Interestingly, think about it, this survey was done in January 2015, and we believe as a management team that our availability has never been as good as it really should be, accepting the current challenges. And our customers were telling us that our availability wasn't good enough prior to all the work on Microsoft Dynamics. So one of the benefits we expect to get out of Dynamics is to be able to manage stock and on-shelf availability better. Yes, there's a bit of a hiatus at the moment, but we've got to get this right from the customer's point of view. Julie touched on this when we look at our heritage going back to 1902. Customers do value the great service and advice that we give them, and it's very important, and that helps with that's why they don't expect us to be the cheapest, because there is a cost to providing that service and advice, but they do value it. Improved store environment and more ways to shop. So store environment, I'll touch on this again in a minute, but some of the estate is perhaps not in as good a condition as we'd like it to be, as we've spent money on acquisition and growing the business. And the more ways to shop, I think anybody's seeing that in retail today with click and collect, click and reserve, all those different ways, using the phone, customer services, etc., etc. So our customers are no different to most retail customers. They want to shop when it's convenient to them. And the last key one is they do value the loyalty card. There's obviously a cost to running the card, but the benefits outweigh the cost, but they do want it to be much more personalised. And we've done a great job, sort of about nearly 160,000 cards. What we really have to do in this strategy is we have to really leverage that customer data, and we haven't done that as well as we should do. So it's a great opportunity to be much more personal with our customers. How are we going to grow retail? We're going to provide our customers with more convenient ways to shop. So multi-channel, doesn't matter what you call it, omni-channel. There'll be lots of different ways customers shop online, whether they're using tablets, whether they're using mobiles, whether they want to ring us, whether they want to deal with people still, whether they want to come into stores. That whole network gets joined up by Microsoft Dynamics. Loyalty card I've touched on. It looks fantastic. The branding is really consistent. It looks great. And it's going to be a really important part of our growth, and I'll show you that later. We now have a clear pricing strategy that Helen's introduced, and that's really important. So there are certain areas where we need to be right on it. We need to be as competitive as the most competitive. There are certain other products where we don't have to be the cheapest all the time, and we've got a very clear view now about what that strategy looks like. And product ranges, we've got to get the right range for the customer. So that's not just the right ranges within the categories, that's also the right ranges in store for the local, so it suits the local customer type. It also responds to local competition, etc. Store investment, brand consistency. We had a really good, one of the questions yesterday was, are we going to open a lot of new stores? We're not. This strategy really focuses on leveraging everything we've got in the current infrastructure. So we will be investing more in the existing estate. Like the brand consistency, which Julie talked about earlier, we've got a brand look inside the store and outside the store. It's best demonstrated for those who haven't seen it at Thornbury, where they've done a fantastic job on a fairly meagre amount of money. We'd like all the stores to have that consistency. And again, there's a program of over the 4 years. At the end of that, we should have all stores in the same position. Better B2B. Simon Smith was in the audience yesterday. There's a great opportunity for us in the B2B sector, and when we talk about that, it's not just about agriculture, it's about the equestrian businesses we have. To stop the ranging of stores based on size. It's completely the wrong thing to do. We need to understand our customers, who they are, where they are. We understand our competitors, who they are and where they are, and we need to make sure those stores are ranged to best meet both of those challenges. we've got to keep giving great customer services. Julie said right at the start, we talked about our heritage. Customers value our service. That's why they come to our stores, not just for service, but for the advice. And that's why we've been spending a lot of time over the last 12 to 18 months raising the bar of video mystery shopping. I know how much those who in store love it, but we need to challenge ourselves to give the best service in our sector. So how are we going to grow the LPG business? We're going to expand the geography into new supply locations, and I'll show you a map in a minute about what that looks like. We're already winning more commercial business, so the business is very much at the moment domestic customers, and one of the issues with that is that we spend all our time at this time of year hoping it's going to be cold, so the heating goes on, they buy more gas. Commercial businesses like heating warehouses, forklift trucks, food processing is all the year round. It's lower margin, but it means we use all our assets, the vehicles, the people, the tanks, a lot more effectively. So we're already winning some great contracts, but we want to win more. One of the reasons that LPG is very successful at winning customers, particularly against the likes of Cala and Flowgas, which are the biggest two in the UK, we sit at number 4 behind Avanti, is, as with any big company, it's not as personal, the service is not as good, and the way we can react to everything the customer wants is much faster, and customers value that, and we're growing the business year on year. We can track that with the tank numbers. We're also so there's a field sales team in LPG. They're going to be based in key stores, and we're going to expand the range of energy products in those stores so that those energy specialists can help sell them. And also, it means there's a lot of those people that are coming into the stores are potential customers, so it helps create leads as well. This map, this green bit is the current trading area for LPG, so it's an incredibly successful business, and what we managed to do in the plan is find a way of expanding the geography, because all we need to do is, we know it works, we know it makes a lot of money, so we just need to do it in a bigger geography. And we've got 2 or 3 ways of doing that. So we've already started up here in Stanlow. We've got the lorry based and a sales team. We've had some great success in Cornwall, where we're drawing out of St Austell. This purple patch up here we're going to have a new site at Burton. We won't own it, but we will lease it. So hopefully we get that lease signed in the next few days. And we're looking at other opportunities. George and I were in Kent last week, again, with a site where we can base a lorry, build a sales team. If we can deliver all of that across the 4 years, it means a 30% growth in the LPG volumes, and it'll add somewhere in the region of £2.5 to £3 million profit. So and that's the fundamental difference in this strategy is as much focus on LPG as there is on TNA and retail. Intention is we grow this business. It's around a 4 million turnover at the moment and is profitable, and we're hoping to get it up to about 6 million in 4 years, and that'll put it about 4th biggest in the UK. So how are we going to do that? Again, a little bit like LPG, it's a successful business. We've got the right ranges, we've got some great salespeople, we've got the infrastructure to give the support, etc. We just need more salespeople. Sounds easy, but it is, as the business has grown, it's getting a little bit easier to attract the right people, but that's essentially what this business is about, and we're hopefully looking for a couple of new people each year over the period of the plan. There's the opportunity. At the moment, the business is very much focused around golf courses, which I think is great, because I have to go around just checking the product's working. But there's also a big market out there for other areas of grass management, whether it be football pitches, hockey pitches, etc. We've even got 1 or 2 Premiership teams that are customers. So if your Premiership team isn't doing very well, it's got nothing to do with the Countrywide TNA business. But there's an opportunity out there there's a huge leisure sector, and we've recruited somebody that understands that, and he's now starting to develop that part of the business. And the combination, we think there's an opportunity not just for grassland and paddock ranges in store. We got close to having a proper paddock range for the equestrian market some time ago, but never actually landed it. We will this time. And coupled with what I've just talking about with the new markets, whether it be football or that type of thing, there's an opportunity to stock in certain stores some of those products. The branding works very well. We've got some exclusivity on some of the products that are coming in from the US. So it gives us some great differentiation from some of the garden centres and some of the sheds. So there's a good opportunity there for the two businesses to work together.
So some of the high-level financial targets, then, just to walk you through those. Firstly, store sales. So store sales, we're looking to increase from 120 million to 142 million. In terms of digital, so online, increase from 2 million to 11 million. And on B2B, an increase from 28 to 42 million. Now, if we were to compare those three elements to the plan we laid down last year, they're very different. So space isn't a big factor in terms of driving growth in the retail plan, new space. Actually, last year's space was still quite a key element. And this year, we've really honed in on the opportunity that online presents to us, and B2B in particular. But we're looking at growth across all aspects of retail. But it's about the here and now. It's about the stores we've got, and it's about driving that harder. In terms of LPG, I think I slipped up earlier on this. It's actually at 17,000 tonnes at the moment, growing to over 24,000 tonnes. Now again, that is very different to the plan we had last year. Last year we didn't have anywhere near the same level of growth expectation for LPG. All our focus and attention had been on retail historically, whereas in this plan we have quite significant growth expectations, as you can see. In terms of turf and amenity, moving from 4 to 6 million. So it's still relatively modest in terms of size and scale, but nevertheless it's growing. And if you take that headline sales and volume growth, we're also looking to improve our margins, the level of return we make on those sales. That's easier to do if you've got a growing business, because it gives you leverage with suppliers. So we want more of the stock that we need to support availability and sell, but we want to take stock out of the business that isn't going anywhere. And I think we all know we've got quite a bit of that, both out in stores and certainly over at Deptford. So we've got stock targets. We want to reduce stock in overall terms, but at the same time, we have to protect and improve availability. In terms of profitability, I'm not going to do the quiz question of what EBITDA is. It's one definition of profitability that we use. And these are not quite to scale, even less so than they were yesterday, actually. But on the left is a representation of where our EBITDA by business unit is today. And the key factor, really, to say is that LPG delivers pretty much all of our profits today. John's already mentioned that. So it's a really key contributor to delivering profitability here and now. If we look forward to the 2020 plan, that's a much more balanced picture. So we see the whole pie growing, so every area of the business growing, but we see more of a balance between LPG, retail, Cornwall Farmers starts to deliver profit as part of that, and T&A increases a little also. So it's a much more balanced picture going forward, but clearly there's a lot to do to drive from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, growing all areas of the business and particularly moving retail into profit.
Right off the bat, I think from a store manager's point of view, service, key part. We've done a great job in really increasing our mystery shop scores as part of service, coupled with availability, the core of all service, but spending more time on the shop floor. And the managers, the good thing about some of the AX integrations, as was mentioned by a manager, they've got more time on the shop floor. So, if a system only allows you to do certain things, you can't spend time with it. So off you go into the store. So that's a key kind of thing we need to do differently to deliver the service commitments. Then we talk around kind of psychology a bit strange sometimes, but self-belief that it's right, self-belief that we can make a difference. And I've gone through with my manager, and we talk around sunshine at the minute. but it's look at the positives. Yeah, there's always sunshine, there's always good things in amongst big change. And we've got to believe that plan is solid. Looking at it, it is, but it's down to us to deliver. Increasing knowledge through the experts and everybody in the team. Everyone needs to increase. We can't wait for a training plan, it's our responsibility. Yeah, we can go out and gather tools, we can communicate with our teams. Everyone needs to know it's not just an expert, it's the part-time on the weekend. Most important people probably touch more customers in your store per hour, but yet we probably spend less time giving them the knowledge they need. So just thinking about how we increase that knowledge. You've got suppliers, you've got experts within the business, just how driven we are in delivering it. And the biggest thing is, I think, for all of this communication, communicate with all team, and don't forget customers. Our knowledge is great. We know it, we've got to share it with our customers. Number one priority. One thing we need to do is own it. I think that's all of us owning the plan. We're all a part to play. That's clear. Okay.
What are we doing for farmers, their families, their children, their businesses? An interesting question. It probably didn't come out in the presentation, but we did talk very much about our heritage. And if you go back to retail, it's one of the things it wants to be famous for is agriculture. The total agricultural sales contribution in this plan is something like 40%. So anybody that says we're not in farming is very much misinformed, because it's a core part of what we do. It's our heritage. It's a differentiator, and the reason we've got so much growth in the B2B business, which is the biggest growth in anywhere in the plan, is because we now believe we've got the right team, the right structure, and the right ranges to start to put what Simon would describe as 15 years of doing it the wrong way. So I can assure you farming is very core to what we're trying to do. So you saw we've got financial targets, and some of you use this word cascading, because really where we go from here is those that you responsible teams, we need to make sure that this all cascades down and they understand. So we've talked about how we're going to win with people, convenience, knowledge and value. We've got the business objectives, which we shared with you. That then breaks down to individual team, store objectives and budgets. The last piece is this critical bit here, is to make sure that everybody is clear, every single person in this organisation, whether they're full-time or part-time, that their objectives can go back up that pyramid to the top, to the financial objectives. Everything is aligned. Sounds easy to say, but it's quite a lot of work to do it, and all of you in this room are responsible for that and making sure it happens, whether it's your own objectives, setting them with, or setting them with your teams. 2020, this is where we want to be. This is where we want to be winning our gold medals: the people, the value, the knowledge, the convenience. We'll deliver on our vision about being our customers' first choice of quality products and advice. But to do that, we need all of you to understand how you're going to support. You can make the difference. We've put the plan together, we've got the structure, we've got the numbers, but it'll be you that makes the difference, understanding it, helping support it, and helping deliver it. So you need to go away and think about it and really believe, I think as some of the group said earlier, that you can make a difference to delivering this plan. That's what today is all about, understanding it and going away and thinking about how you're going to do it. Thank you.